I see the chaos. I feel the pain.
Welcome to Questions for Jesus.
World
Rachel
in
and Adam will be your
pieces.
guides for deeper insight and thoughtful discussions.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yes, welcome back.
You know, we always love to tackle the tough questions here.
We do love those tough questions.
And today
Yeah.
is no exception.
Yeah, this is a big one.
We're diving into the age-old question of why,
Yeah.
if God is truly loving,
Right.
why is there so much suffering in the world?
I mean, it's a question that I think resonates with all of us, whether we consider ourselves people of faith or not.
Absolutely.
It's something we see every day.
It is.
And it's hard to reconcile with the idea of a benevolent,
Right.
higher power.
For sure. And it's something that
Yeah.
I've definitely grappled with personally,
Yeah,
over the years. And I know a lot of you listening have as well.
absolutely.
So let's unpack this a little bit.
Okay, let's do it.
I've actually been thinking about this all morning,
Oh, really?
even as I was making my coffee.
Interesting. Is there something special in your cup today, or?
You know me so well. Besides the usual caffeine boost, I added a scoop of Java Burn today.
Java burn, okay.
It's this all-natural formula
Okay.
that's supposed to kind of kickstart your metabolism,
Right.
boost your energy.
Yeah.
It's really, honestly, the only supplement I take
Wow.
these days.
Well, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there who are trying to, navigate these really challenging topics
Yeah.
could use an extra boost.
For sure.
We'll be sure to leave a link to Java Burn in the description
Perfect.
for anyone who's interested.
Now back to the question at hand.
Right.
If we look back at the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
the story of Genesis,
Yeah. Yeah.
we see this
Yeah.
picture of a perfect world, right?
Right.
A paradise
Yeah.
where suffering didn't exist.
Right.
So what happened?
Well, the Genesis account introduces this concept of free will.
Okay.
This ability for humans to make their own choices, even if those choices go against God's will. And when Adam and Eve chose to disobey God, sin entered the world, and with it
Yeah.
came suffering and death.
So it's like God gave us this incredible gift
Right.
of free will, but it came with this
Yeah.
hefty price tag.
In a way, yes. But think
Yeah.
about it. Could we truly love God
That's true.
if we didn't have the choice to reject him?
Right.
Could we experience the depths of human connection
Yeah.
if there was no possibility of heartbreak?
I guess true love requires that freedom to choose,
It does.
even if it leads to pain.
Yeah.
But does that mean that God is okay with people making choices that hurt others?
It's important to distinguish between God allowing something to happen
Okay.
and God endorsing it.
Okay.
God doesn't delight in our suffering.
Right.
In fact, the Bible tells us that he grieves with us, but he respects our freedom.
Yeah.
Even when our choices lead to consequences we
Right.
don't foresee.
That's a tough concept
It is.
to grasp.
Yeah.
I mean, how can we reconcile this idea?
Yeah. Right. Of a loving God. With the immense suffering that we see
Right.
in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Both the suffering caused by human actions
Yeah.
and the suffering that just seems to come out of nowhere.
That's where the conversation gets really interesting, and
Yeah.
that's what we're going to explore next. And,
Okay.
If any of this is resonating with you,
Yeah.
we would love to hear your thoughts. So,
Absolutely.
like this video,
Yeah.
share it with someone
Yes.
who might be wrestling with these same questions.
Yeah.
And drop your comments below.
We want to hear from you.
Yeah, let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after
Yes.
a quick break to delve deeper into this complex,
Yeah,
often painful topic.
it is a tough one, but an important one.
It is.
So we'll be right back.
So we've established that suffering exists,
Right.
and it's a tough reality to face.
It is.
But, where do we go from there?
How do we make sense of it?
Yeah.
Especially when it feels like God is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that feeling of God's silence
Yeah.
in the midst of pain
Okay.
is something that I think many of us can relate to.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, if you're truly there,
Mm-hmm.
God,
Right.
why aren't you doing something about this?
Yeah, why does it feel like you're so far away?
Yeah.
But what if, instead of absence,
Okay.
we consider that God might be working in ways that we don't fully comprehend?
Okay.
What if, like an intricate tapestry,
Mm-hmm.
the full beauty of God's plan can only be seen from a wider perspective,
Okay.
one that extends beyond our immediate pain?
Okay, so you're saying it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
We're focused on the single painful thread,
Right.
while God sees the whole tapestry.
Exactly.
The grand design.
Yeah. And sometimes those periods of silence,
Okay.
those times when we feel most alone,
Right.
are the very moments that draw us closer to God,
Okay.
deepening our dependence on Him in ways that we never thought possible.
But how can we feel close to God when it feels like he's not even listening?
Yeah.
You know? It's like
Well-
talking to a wall sometimes.
It is, but it starts with a choice.
Okay.
A conscious decision to trust,
Okay.
even when we don't understand.
Okay.
Remember Psalm 74.18,
Yeah.
the Lord is close to the brokenhearted
Mhm.
and saves the crushed in spirit.
Right.
It's a promise that whispers hope into the darkness,
Yeah.
a reminder that even in our deepest pain, we are not alone.
I hear you. But that kind of trust, that surrender,
Yeah.
it's easier said than done,
It is.
especially when you're in the thick of it.
Absolutely.
You know, it's hard to see the bigger picture when all you feel is the weight of your current circumstances.
It is. It's a practice,
Yeah.
a daily choice to surrender our fears and anxieties
Right.
to a power greater than ourselves, knowing that we are held even in the midst of our pain.
Okay.
And sometimes that surrender involves acknowledging our need for comfort and support.
But reaching out to others who can walk alongside us
Right.
through the darkness.
So it's not about pretending everything is okay
Not at all.
or suppressing our doubts.
No. It's about being honest with ourselves
Okay.
and with God about our pain,
Yeah.
our confusion, our anger even.
Right.
And it's about remembering that we were never meant to go through this alone.
Right.
We have each other, we have the community of faith,
Yeah.
and we have the unwavering presence of a God
Yeah.
who understands our suffering in a way no one else can.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
How can God truly understand what we go through?
Because he chose to experience it himself
Okay.
in the person of Jesus.
Right.
Think about it. God, the creator of the universe,
Yeah.
humbled himself to become human,
Yeah.
to walk among us,
Yeah.
to feel the full range of human emotions,
Wow.
including pain, grief, and even despair.
You're talking about the crucifixion, right?
Yeah.
But Jesus was God, so it wasn't that different.
Yes, Jesus was fully God.
But he was also fully human.
Okay.
He experienced the depths of human suffering firsthand.
Right.
From betrayal and abandonment
Yeah.
to physical torture and death.
Right.
And in doing so, he bridged the gap
Mm-hmm.
between humanity and divinity,
Yeah.
showing us that God is not some distant, unfeeling observer,
Right.
but a compassionate companion who walks with us through our pain.
Wow. That puts things in a whole new light to think that God himself chose to enter into our suffering.
Yeah.
It's almost too much to comprehend.
It's a profound mystery,
It is,
one that has challenged and comforted believers for centuries.
for sure.
But it also raises some challenging questions.
Okay.
For example, if God understands suffering so intimately,
Yeah.
why does it still exist?
Right.
Why does it seem like some people suffer more than others?
Yeah, that's something I've always struggled with. Like,
Yeah,
why do bad things happen to good people?
right.
It doesn't seem fair.
It's not. And that's where we have to grapple with the limitations
Yeah.
of our human understanding, for sure.
We may never fully grasp the reasons behind every instance of suffering,
Right.
but we can hold on to the truth that God sees and cares about each individual's pain,
Okay.
even when we can't comprehend why it's happening.
So where does that leave us?
Yeah.
If we can't always understand the why of suffering, how do we move forward?
Right.
Are we just supposed to accept it as an inevitable part of life?
Not exactly. Remember, even in the midst of darkness, there is always hope.
Okay.
The Bible speaks of a future where suffering will be no more,
Right.
a time when God will wipe away every tear.
Yeah.
But even now in the present,
Okay.
there is a profound beauty to be found in our shared experience of suffering.
Okay.
It's in these moments of vulnerability, of brokenness,
Yeah.
that we discover the true depths of human connection,
Great.
the power of compassion, and the unwavering love of a God who walks with us through the valley of the shadow of death.
That's incredibly powerful. It's a reminder that even though suffering is a part of life,
Right.
it doesn't have to define us. Exactly. And if you're finding this conversation helpful, we encourage you to share it with someone who might be struggling with these same questions.
How do we hold on to that hope, that promise of a future free from suffering,
Right.
when the reality around us feels so different?
That's a great question, and that's something that we're going to explore in more depth in our next segment.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the redemptive power of suffering
Okay.
and the hope of a restored world.
Okay. Looking forward to it. Okay, so we talked about the why of suffering.
Yeah.
But what about the how?
Right.
How do we actually live with this tension of knowing that God is good, yet suffering still exists?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is.
And there's no easy answer.
Right.
No magic formula for navigating the complexities of pain and faith.
Right.
It's a lifelong journey.
Sure.
A process of wrestling with these questions,
Yeah.
seeking understanding, and choosing to trust even when it's hard.
So it's not about having all the answers then.
Not at all. In fact, embracing the mystery,
Okay.
acknowledging that we don't have all the pieces,
Right.
can be incredibly freeing.
Yeah.
It allows us to approach these big questions with humility,
Mhm.
curiosity, and a willingness to sit with the discomfort of not knowing.
So it's more about walking with God through the questions,
Yeah,
leaning on him for strength and comfort when the doubts creep in.
precisely. And it's about remembering that we're not alone in this journey.
Okay.
We have each other, we have the community of faith,
Yeah.
and most importantly, we have a God who not only understands our suffering, but has
Yeah.
also promised to walk with us through it.
And speaking of that promise,
Yes.
you mentioned earlier the idea of a future free from suffering.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah.
What does that hope look like?
Yeah, Revelation 21.4 paints this beautiful picture of a world transformed.
Okay.
A world where God will wipe every tear from their eye. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain.
Yeah.
For the old order of things has passed away.
That's beautiful.
It's a vision of ultimate restoration.
Yeah.
A promise that the pain we experience in this life is not the final word.
It's a powerful image,
It is.
a beacon of hope
Yeah,
in the midst of darkness.
for sure.
But how do we hold on to that hope when the reality around us feels so different, so broken?
That's where faith, hope, and love come in.
Okay.
Faith that God's promises are true.
Right.
Even when we can't see their fulfillment yet. Hope that this world is not all there is.
Right.
That a better future awaits. And love for God and love for others,
Yeah.
that sustains us through the darkness.
Right.
Reminding us that even in the midst of suffering, beauty and goodness persist.
Love. It's such a simple word,
It is.
yet it holds so much power.
So much.
But sometimes when I look at all this suffering in the world, it feels so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Like one person can't possibly make a difference.
Yeah, it's easy to feel that way,
Yeah.
to get bogged down by the sheer magnitude of pain and injustice.
Yeah.
But never underestimate the power of even the smallest acts of love and kindness.
Like what kind of things?
Sure, like offering a listening ear to someone who's hurting,
Right.
extending a helping hand to someone in need,
Mm-hmm.
speaking up against injustice even when it's uncomfortable,
Right.
choosing forgiveness over bitterness even when it feels impossible.
Yeah.
These seemingly small acts have a ripple effect,
Right.
spreading compassion and hope in ways we may never fully comprehend.
So it's about finding those little glimmers of light in the darkness.
Yeah.
Those moments of connection and love
Absolutely.
that remind us we're not alone.
Exactly. And it's about trusting that even in the midst of suffering, God is working,
Yeah.
weaving together a tapestry of redemption and hope,
Okay.
a tapestry that will one day be revealed in its full glory.
This has been a really insightful conversation.
It has.
It's given me a lot to think about, a lot to chew on. What would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
If I had to sum it up in one sentence, I'd say this.
Okay.
Suffering is a part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to define us.
Right.
We can choose to find meaning in our pain, to
Yeah.
grow through our struggles, and to hold on to the hope of a future where suffering will be no more.
Beautifully said. And if any of this resonated with you,
Yeah.
we encourage you to share your thoughts, your questions, your own experiences
Yeah.
in the comments below.
Absolutely.
We're all in this together.
We are.
So thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yes, thank you.
And until next time, remember, you are loved.
Yes, you are.
You're not alone.
You are not.
And there is always hope.
Always.